she all of a sudden burst out of the office over there and she said, look, either arrest me and put me in jail for something that I did not do, or let me go. Otherwise, my children are going to starve out there. They haven't been given water, food, nothing. We've been here for 8 hours and nothing.
Hello and welcome to Revolutionary Women. My name is Tes Silverman. Women around the world are constantly creating ways to make a difference in their communities, and today's guest is no exception. Gordana Angelic Davila is the co-owner of the Redbud Café, a cozy and creative space known for its soulful atmosphere and signature crepes. She previously worked as a writer and editor in Australia and has a background in creative services spanning New York, San Francisco, and Melbourne. Born in the former Yugoslavia, Gordana's family left due to political circumstances, first settling in Italy before eventually making the United States their permanent home. Her journey deeply informs her love of community, storytelling, and creating spaces where people feel a sense of belonging. Hi, Gordana. Welcome to Revolutionary Women. How are you this afternoon?
I'm well, thank you. Thank you for having me.
Thank you for coming on the show. Okay, so let's get started. So you were born in former Yugoslavia, now called Bosnia and Herzegovina. What was it like for you growing up in former Yugoslavia?
My parents left my home country when I was 3.5.
Oh, wow.
So
okay.
I just have kind of, we say in my language, I have memories like dreams. So very faint memories. I remember being on my grandparents' farm and getting stuck in the mud because I was little and I couldn't catch up to my cousins. But what I do remember most is the actual night that my parents left or my father left. Because I don't know if I've mentioned it before, but my father is an Orthodox priest. So his life wasn't an easy one in a communist country. And so at one point when he had me, he realized that he didn't want the same life for his children, right? To go through a lot of grief and having to constantly justify the fact that we worshipped God and we went to church. And so he came home one Sunday after a mass. He said to my mom, we've all decided that we're leaving. They were leaving legally because they had passports, but the priest's wives and children didn't.
Oh, wow.
Because, they didn't want us leaving the country.
Right.
My father said to my mom, we'll send for you. In the meantime, if they ask about me, just say that I'm out, baptizing children, blessing houses and stuff. And that's what my mom did. And then one night we arrived in Slovenia. So we were in a house that I didn't know this house. I didn't know anyone there. Everyone kept on saying, be quiet, because that political environment, people used to betray their neighbors and so on. So we had to be absolutely quiet because if someone heard us, we could be in trouble.
Wow. Oh my gosh.
And so two men came in the middle of the night and they had a passport of a woman around my mom's age that had a child, a daughter around my age. I remember being in this car and then we arrived at the border and I remember the men saying to my mom, can the little girl pretend to be asleep?
Oh,
and she's like, yeah,
okay,
absolutely. And so she said to me, be quiet, close your eyes and pretend to be asleep. And I did. But then, as we got to the border, I remember even though my eyes were closed, I could see through my eyes a yellow light. And so curiosity got the best out of me, right? And I peeked.
Oh, gee,
and my mom quickly, pushed me down, don't move. And then we went across the border.
Wow.
And next thing I knew, I saw my dad. I ran into his arms, and we were safe.
Oh my gosh!
And we were safe. Yeah,
that's so wild. Oh my gosh!
Yeah.
Oh, I can't even imagine what your mother must have felt, and during that whole encounter, that whole thing.
Yeah.
I mean, it's it was already scary, right? And then to like hope that,
Yeah.
okay, you can get through, and
Yeah.
there's, freedom on the other side of the other side of that border.
Yeah.
Like, goodness me, I mean, the courage, to actually go through with it, and then to have,
Yeah.
and then, at the other end of that was your dad. So,
Yeah.
wow,
And
that's wild.
we were super lucky too, because we had someone that was willing to, help us,
Yeah.
and a group of people. Our church was able to help us, but there were numerous people that didn't, and they just kind of went blindly across the border, and
Wow.
either they were arrested or they were killed or whatever.
Oh
So
my
we were
gosh.
very, very lucky. It was a pretty easy way to get over.
Yeah.
But then
Yeah.
we couldn't go back for years, and
Mm.
my dad was on a blacklist,
Oh my
and
gosh.
yeah, and for the first 3 months that we were in Italy,
Mm-hmm.
and we were just in hiding.
Right.
But during that time, my relatives back home, so my grandparents, uncles, everyone
Mm-hmm.
thought that's it. The government finally got to them. They killed them, and
Wow.
so they literally mourned us and did a memorial for us.
Wow.
And after about 3 months of, them believing we were dead,
Uh-huh.
my father was able to send someone
Mm-hmm.
with a secret message. The guy hid the letter inside of his jacket lining.
Mm.
And he was able to take the letter to my grandparents, and then they knew that we were alive. But
Holy cow. What a
yeah,
journey. Oh my gosh. Okay,
yeah,
so how long were you in Italy for? And then when did you
sure.
move to the States?
From 1969 to 1977,
Mm-hmm.
we lived in Italy.
Okay. Okay.
And that's where my brother was born.
Uh-huh.
He's one of the co-owners of Redbud Café, by the way.
Right.
We were okay there, we had a decent life, and
Mm-hmm.
and then when my brother was born, he had a lot of health issues. And
Mm-hmm.
so during the 8 years that we were in Italy, he spent half of those years in the hospital,
Mm.
because 3 times the doctor said, there's nothing else we can do for him. That's
Wow.
it. Long story short, they finally said, look, we don't have the medicine or the hospitals that are as good as in the United States.
Right.
So if you know a way
Hmm.
of getting yourself
Mm-hmm.
to Arizona,
Huh.
because that would be the best climate for his issues,
Uh-huh.
because he had breathing issues.
Uh-huh.
If you can somehow get yourself there, he'll be okay. Otherwise, here he will die.
Wow.
And so my father moved heaven and earth. We saved our little pennies
Uh-huh.
and moved to Kansas City.
Yeah, okay, so I read that. So you went from Italy, then to Kansas
Mhm.
City, then to California. So what was that like for you moving from place to place? And,
Yeah.
what was the most challenging part of the various moves for you?
So the first challenge was the language barrier, of course,
Mm-hmm.
right?
Mm-hmm.
Because I was almost 12 years old. They enrolled me in a private school to learn English.
Ah, okay.
And so for 2 years, I went and I learned the
Mm-hmm.
basic grammar and so on. Arriving in the United States, not understanding a word anyone had to say to me,
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
and knowing only how to say, hi, my name is Gordana. I am from Italy, and I am a girl. That's it. That's all I knew how to say.
Wow.
But my parents were convinced that I was fluent. So I became their Google Translate from the moment that we arrived.
Uh-huh.
So that was the biggest challenge, because often there were moments that were literally life and death. My brother got very, very ill, and my parents took him to a Serbian doctor because they could communicate.
Mm-hmm.
And then the doctor gave us a prescription. And so they sent me across the street, and they said, you speak English, go and get your brother's medicine. I'm like, all right, here I go.
Uh-huh.
When I arrived at the pharmacy in Italy, you arrive with a prescription, they give it to you, and you leave. Well, here there's a whole rigmarole of like name, date of birth, blah, blah, blah.
Right.
And I understood them,
Right.
but I couldn't reply. Anyway, so long story short, they eventually gave me the medicine because I had cash in hand, because I started crying. Like, I was so frustrated. I didn't know how to communicate. And I knew that my brother needed it. Otherwise, God knows what would happen.
Yeah.
And because I cried, they're like, okay.
Oh, wow.
And then the next challenge was opening the bottle of antibiotics. In Italy, we didn't have the childproof
the safety
tops,
caps.
right? So eventually he got so frustrated that he took a knife to it and like popped the lid, and we gave the medicine to my brother. So little, teeny tiny little challenges like that, but but huge obstacles for us, because we're like, we don't know. There was a movie called Moscow on the Hudson with Robin Williams back in the 80s.
Yes.
And his character goes into a supermarket to buy coffee, and he has a panic attack because there's like 60 types of coffees. And he's like, I don't know which one to pick. And he has a panic attack.
Right.
And I identify with that because I remember my mom doing the same thing. She's like, what the hell? Where? How? Where?
Yeah. Oh my gosh. I mean, that must have been, like you said, frustrating. And also like, geez, how can you communicate, especially, I mean, for your parents, you were fluent to them, they thought you were fluent, but for especially a child, who's not really well versed, it had to be frustrating. And I can't even imagine. I can only imagine what you must have felt. It's amazing to me that they went through all of those, dangerous situations just so they can make sure that the whole family stayed together, and that your brother, and then going from Italy to the United States to make sure that your brother would be okay, and have a better health. I mean, that speaks to their character, their resilience. And do you find yourself thinking that's where you got where you are now? And are those the lessons they imparted on you, growing up?
Definitely. I mean, 1,000%. I find that kids who are immigrants and kids who are children of immigrants, and they come from, like, especially if they come from a third world country. I'm not saying Italy was a third world country, but we came from Yugoslavia, and at the time that was a third world country.
Right.
I think that we learn to suck it up. Just keep going. Okay, so you have one pair of shoes. Well, that's what you got.
Yeah, better than none. Yes,
exactly.
Yeah.
And even though, so Italy was a nice place for us. It really was. And my father always says, "Oh man, I long for Italy," right? Because it was a great place for us. But because you've got to understand that usually people that escape communism or escape some sort of dictatorship, they feel guilty. They have the survivor guilt,
Sure, yeah, of course.
So then they're helping the rest of the family back home, right?
Yes, right. Yeah.
So we were living a decent life, but we were sending money back to Bosnia, and to one grandma, to the other grandma, and every Tom, Dick, and Harry, right?
Right.
And so some of it was because they really needed it, and some of it was because they thought that we were so well off that why not ask, right?
Yeah.
And my father tells us every once in a while, he does the whole like melancholy thing of like, oh, I have wronged against you, I've wronged you, where he says, you went without so that I could help my family, and I kept and others, and I kept on saying my family will understand, right?
Yeah,
that mentality of, yep, we'll survive, no problem, we can do it. It was very much instilled in us, and so even when we arrived here and we had an even more comfortable life because my parents eventually had a business and so on.
Right.
Even then, we knew to be careful, to not overspend,
right,
to not
Yeah.
overextend ourselves because you never knew when the skinny years
Yeah.
might come again,
Right. Right.
And so,
Wow.
yeah, the resilience and even the stubbornness
Mm-hmm.
of like, no, I have got to make it. There's
Yeah.
no other thing.
Right.
There's no other option. Yeah, definitely instilled by my parents and
Wow.
their experience.
That's incredible. Oh my goodness. Have you been
Thank you.
back? Have you visited?
Yes,
You
yes, I
have.
have. The first time that I went back, I was 16.
Uh-huh.
We
And
were living in the US.
uh-huh. So
And
so was it culture shock for you? What was that like? You know?
yeah, it was somewhat. It was somewhat.
Okay.
Um, so when we were in Italy, eventually my mom was allowed to take my brother and I back,
Mm-hmm.
which that's a whole other story. She was actually taken by the equivalent of like the KGB there.
Mm-hmm.
It's called It was called UDBA. They literally arrested her and took her aside to like interrogate her. We
Oh my
were
goodness.
in the police department for like 8 hours.
Wow.
And my mom, she's a tiny little lady. She's 4'11",
Mm-hmm.
uh, but she's a feisty little woman.
Mm-hmm.
And I remember us being there, not understanding why we were there, and she all of a sudden burst out of the office over there, and she said, "Look, either arrest me and put me in jail
Mm-hmm.
for something that I did not do because my husband decided that we were going to leave,
Uh-huh.
or let me go.
Uh-huh.
Otherwise, my children are going to starve out there. They haven't been given water, food, nothing. We've
Wow.
been here for 8 hours and nothing." And so they let her go. So that was my
Okay.
first experience of being back there and
Wow.
looking at my mom going, wow, my mom is tough, right?
Yeah. Yeah.
And then when I was 16, I graduated high school at 16.
Mm-hmm.
I started school really early. I was 4.5 in my first grade. But anyway, so I go, that's my high school graduation present. My father
Mm.
decides to treat me and go and see my family.
Mm-hmm.
And it was a wonderful experience because suddenly all the stories that my father told me about his childhood,
Mm-hmm.
this creek, this hill, this whatever, I saw. And so that was wonderful.
Mm.
But the flip side of it was that I could not talk about the government. I could not have an opinion.
Right.
My dad taught me to basically smile and wave,
Uh-huh. Uh-huh.
and to act dumb.
Huh.
He said,
Okay.
if they ask you anything, you always say, oh, gosh, I don't know.
Yeah.
Even if you know, you
Right.
don't know.
Okay.
And so I had smooth sailing.
Mm-hmm.
Like people would ask me, oh, so your father probably talks badly about the government. I'm like, what? No, my
Mm.
dad never.
Yeah.
Or so that was my experience the first
Wow.
time. And
Okay.
then the next time was later on in life, and
Mm.
it got better. And of course, the government was toppled, and so
Mm.
it's way better now.
Wow. That's amazing that you've
Hmm.
had these experiences and then having to go and being able to go back, and
Yeah.
relive in a way relive what your father went through, your parents went through,
Hmm.
just seeing where they've been or where they were,
Yeah.
right? And seeing the kind of experiences they had in a different
Hmm.
context, of course, but I mean, it must have
Hmm.
been like, wow, this is what they had to go through in order for us
Yeah.
to get out. Um,
Hmm.
wow. Okay, that's really amazing. That
Hmm.
I love that they were able to get out as safely and
Hmm.
provide for their family.
Yeah.
And have the kind of future that you would want for your kids. Um,
Hmm.
Wow. Okay. So, Gordana, you are the owner of the Redbud Café in Daytona Beach, Florida. But prior to
Yes.
that, you were an art director in graphic arts and then worked as a writer and editor when you moved to Australia with your husband and
Yeah.
daughters. Okay. So, what made you move from California to Australia and then Daytona?
I know. My husband, his parents ripped him out of his homeland at age 3.5 as well.
Wow.
Literally the same year, only he landed in New York.
Ah.
He even served in the U.S. military and stuff. And then we met, he and I, back in 97. We got married. And we both said, when we have children, that's it. Wherever they're born, that's where they're going to school, and that's where they're living the rest of their lives. We will never rip them out of their birth country, right? Exactly. And at one point we were in California. His father passed away suddenly, coming to terms with mortality and your parents disappearing like that. He wanted to be closer to his mom, and she was on the East Coast.
Okay.
And so we first moved to Florida.
Right.
And when we moved here, I said to him, "See how easy it is to just uproot the kids, and they're not even phased when they're this little. Wouldn't it be cool if we lived in Europe with the kids so that they get, exposure to a whole other world, other language and stuff?" He said, so I would go to a country where people speak English. I would go to a country where we would have a community to land in, and just be taken in by.
Right.
I would go to a country where I would have a job waiting for me, and that job would move us.
Right.
And I said, okay. And he goes, "What do you mean, okay?" I said, "That's my challenge, and we're going to make it happen." He goes, "You're insane." And what country? And I started going down the list. I'm like, well, there's Great Britain, there's, South Africa, there's New Zealand, there's Australia. And my brother said, "Hey, doesn't your friend Chris live in Australia?" I go, "Yeah, she does." And my husband used to work with this woman, Chris.
Oh.
And he said, "Oh, come on," as if she would even remember me. "Well, I don't know.
Yeah.
Why don't you check it out?"
Right.
He looked at the company that she worked at, and they had a job opening for a position that he would be perfect for. So he sent his resume, and in the resume there was a reference letter by this woman, Chris, and they were like, "Hey, this is the same name as," and next thing you know, they're like, "You're hired." They moved us to Australia, and voila, we were there.
That's amazing. So you are the owner of the Redbud Café.
Yes.
What was the inspiration behind opening it, and why name it the Redbud Café?
So first, when we arrived in Australia, I thought, well, obviously I'll continue being an art director, right? And as we were about to arrive there, this company that hired my husband said, "Hey, so you're married. What does your wife do?" And he said, "Oh, she's an art director." And they said, "Great. We'll hire her too. We don't actually need an art director, but we do need a communications officer. So you'll just have to be a communications officer." And I was like, okay, Google what a communications officer does.
Right, yeah.
And from there, basically, every job opportunity after that was in the editorial realm, and I ended up, becoming a writer and stuff. And during that time, I every time that I would have a meeting and I would do an interview of an artist or somebody, I would take them to a local cafe around my office. And every time I would do a bit of, this would be cool. If we ever went back to the U.S., I'd love to open up a cafe. And so I started taking mental notes of, what I'd like? I'd like to see this. I'd like to do that. And that started kind of like percolating in my brain. And so when it was time to come back, we decided on Florida again because my parents had retired. There was nothing tying them to California. I didn't need to come back to California because I had an online job, so I could work anywhere in the world.
Yeah.
And it just made sense to move to Florida because my brother was here.
Okay.
And so that's why we came back. We came back to Orlando. My mom said, "So what next?" I go, "Well, I've got this online job. I'm totally fine writing online." She said, "No, but I was thinking you always talked about, wanting to open up a cafe." And I said, "Yeah, I mean, that's a great idea, but rent we've got to find the right place, the right rent.
Right.
We've got to figure things out. It's not just like, hey,
Yeah.
here we are.
Yeah. Uh-huh.
And then my brother said, well, I've got a place. And sure enough, about 10 years prior, he had invested in some commercial properties. And one of them had been a cafe once upon a time.
Uh-huh.
We decided, my mom, me, my brother, we would be the sole proprietors, and we would abide by my mom's recipes. I would do the design and decorating, and my brother would help out with marketing because that's his background. And it truly was like one of those Judy Garland and Mickey Rooney movies, like, hey, gang, I've got a barn and he's got,
Oh my
like,
gosh, yeah. Wow.
it was very much like that. And then the name kind of started because my father's name is Budimir, and he's gone by Bud all of his life in the United States. And so my brother was playing with names, and he said, I don't know, I think this is cool. Like, we'll probably serve wine. So wine is red. And Dad's name is Bud. So that's kind of paying homage to him.
Yeah.
And he said, and cafe, because it is a cafe. And I was like, oh my God, yes.
Wow.
And that's how it got its name.
That's so cool. I love that.
Yeah.
And I mean, obviously, that's how I met you, because we happened to be visiting my mother-in-law in Florida, and we were actually on our way somewhere, and I'm a foodie. I'm always looking to see where we can go. And we came upon your restaurant, and I'm like, this looks interesting. And then we came in, and I was blown away because I loved the decor. And then, of course, we loved the food. Oh, my gosh. Okay, what's the story behind this? What's the story behind all of this, between the environment and the food? And it was so wild because, it just happened. It wasn't like we were looking for it, but it just stood out to me. Okay, what's the story behind here? And it was wild. So when we finally connected, I'm like, that's so cool. So just to let you know, we loved your food.
Aww.
We're hoping to, when we come back down, we'll be able to come by and stop there again. But, I mean, so what has been challenging as a business owner, and what has been rewarding for you?
Sure. So challenging all the laws and regulations, right? Because you think, okay, I'll get the license and I'll get the food license and train, employees with food safety and so on. I'll buy the machines and I'll open.
Right.
No, not that easy.
Wow.
So there were a lot of little things, and then of course, also deciding on the menu, right? And I knew that I wanted something that was quick, that was fresh, that was versatile. So, and I've been making crepes since I was 13 years old. When I took a French class, and our wonderful French teacher introduced us not only to the language but also to the French food. Every month she would feature a new food and give us the recipe, and we would try it and we'd go home in heaven. And then so when she gave us the recipe for the crepes, my mom literally said, from now on, you make the crepes. That's it. I retire my pan. And so I thought, I think crepes would be great. So we started with that. And so the challenge was, how do we make it so that many people with allergies or food preferences can all enjoy the food?
Right.
Because at that time, all three of my daughters were vegan.
Oh, geez. Okay.
And so every time that we would go to any restaurant, my parents would say, well, they can have a salad. And my poor daughters would do the eye roll of like, oh my God, seriously, can't we eat somewhere where we can eat as well?
Right. Yeah.
And so I thought, well, this is versatile, it's fresh, and we can make it vegan, we can make it gluten-free.
Right.
And so since then, we've literally had thousands of people, and a lot of them families where they're like, oh my God, we're so grateful that you exist because
Yes. Uh-huh.
my wife is gluten-free
Yeah.
or she has celiac or my daughter is vegan, and we can't ever eat somewhere where we all like the food.
Yeah.
So it was an innocent way of planning.
Right. Right.
And a bit challenging, of course,
Right.
but eventually it gelled.
Yeah. I mean, it's funny because that's part of the reason we loved your restaurant, because my husband and I could not have dairy. And we were like, we got so excited. We were like, we can have it vegan. This is so cool. You know, it's like, and, you know, I mean, it's gotten better. It's gotten so much better. There's so many more options, you know, in restaurants. But 20 years ago, not so much. It was horrible. You know, you couldn't get any alternatives, any other options. So now it's really wonderful that like so many restaurants really cater or try to anyway, you know, make a point to like, okay, yes, we can make it gluten-free, we can make it dairy-free, we can make it, you know, as your menu was really amazing and I loved it. So we both were like, this is so cool. It's like, what a great find. So, oh my gosh. Okay, so who would you credit for where you are now?
Oh, gosh. I mean, we go back to my parents, don't we? Because without knowing that they did this, they kind of instilled the mentality of anything is possible, right? Like from the moment that they were like, we're moving to America, I'm like, okay, I guess we are. Like there was no doubt about it.
Right.
And then with time, your own life experiences, you know, like give you hope and stuff. I remember in Australia that they would say, God, you're so American. And sometimes it was a backhanded compliment, you know, sometimes. And that was because I had the attitude of like anything was possible. I realized over there they have a tendency of saying that something can't be done first, right? And in living in Australia, it kind of made me think, oh, wait a minute, but that's like 100 times easier in the US because we kind of have that attitude here of like, yeah, sure, just file this petition and, I don't know, do that and it'll be fixed or it'll be done.
Right.
And so pair that with my parents going, yeah, sure. Why not? We could do it. We can move around on the other side of the world and don't know where we're going to land and don't know if we'll ever see our parents again or any other family. Sure, we could do it.
Yeah.
So, and I always say, like, my mom, I guess, my mom is the number one cheerleader that I have. And I always say that my mom has made me in such a person that if they shipped me to Mars, I'd be like, sure, we could take these rocks and this and that, and we can set up Redbud Café right
there
here.
You go.
You know, like,
So that's
definitely
wild.
my parents.
I love it. So what's next for Gordana?
So April 1st, we celebrate 8 years of existence.
Wow, congratulations. That's amazing.
Thank you. We survived COVID and everything.
Yeah.
And many family squabbles. We're like, that's it, I'm selling my share.
Oh my gosh.
We're hoping to expand.
Oh, wonderful.
My brother, when he purchased this commercial property, he purchased 2 shops, and one has been empty all of this time. And we feel that this would be the perfect time to expand because when summer comes, when our high season is our high season, we hardly can seat. Like we can't seat enough people, and people were waiting outside, and that's something that has been voiced to us, where they're like, if you just had more tables, and we're like, yes, I know, but if we, you know. So that's our next step as far as business is concerned. As far as Gordana is concerned, I've been toying with the idea of writing a book.
Wow. That's awesome.
Yeah.
Okay. Well, please let me know when that happens. I would love to I would love to see what that's about. Okay, so is there anything you would like to say to my listeners?
I guess I've said it with the story of my mom instilling this, like anything is possible.
Yeah.
But yeah, I guess that's the message. Truly, anything is possible, and especially in this country.
Yeah.
With all our warts and bruises that we have as a country, I still think that this is the place where anything can be achieved.
For sure. Yeah.
And I think especially for us who came as immigrants, such as my family, that we know how it was and what lack of opportunity we had. And then we came here and suddenly it was like, sure, just file for this and do that and you can do it.
Yeah.
I mean, my dad started a landscaping business, for the love of God, and being a priest, and a very successful business.
Yeah.
So, honestly, I think that this country, gives a lot of opportunities. And I think that as long as you set your mind to it and you're a positive individual that, sees a silver lining in every situation, then anything is possible.
I love it. So if you had one thing to change that you wish you had done years ago, would there be one?
Oh, of course there is.
Yeah.
I wouldn't be human if I didn't think maybe I should have. I don't know. There's that one time when I was 15 years old and I was trying out for the basketball team and I landed crooked on my foot because I didn't wear the right shoes and I cracked a bone. Oh. And ever since then, I've had pain in my right foot.
Oh, boy.
You think about that, where you're like, maybe I should have worn the right shoes, like my mom said I should have. Or, and there's things like, maybe had I not gone to Australia, maybe my daughters wouldn't have cursed me for a little while there about not being raised with their grandparents. Because there was that, by the way. When we were over there in Australia, we had a wonderful life there. And my daughters at one time said, we don't have anyone here. Everyone has their grandparents. Everyone has, aunties and uncles and so on. We don't have anyone. Why did you do this to us?
Oh, boy.
I felt guilt. Felt guilt.
Yeah.
And then when I moved them back, my eldest was 16. Then she cursed me for bringing her back because she said, all of my friends are over there, right? So, of course, at certain times in your life, you think, oh, man, did I just screw up their lives completely? But now I know that I didn't, because now when they speak of their experience of having lived in Australia, people are in awe, and they say, oh my God, you were so lucky to have had that experience. And now they appreciate it.
Right.
So there's a ton of things ton of events that I wish that maybe I hadn't done or hadn't, but whatever. Life brings you to this point, and if you're happy at this point, then everything was good.
Yeah. So my last question is, if you could go back in time, what advice would you give your younger self?
Oh, to be more confident. Eastern European parents have a tendency to not tell you that you're pretty, not tell you that you're smart, because they don't want you to develop a huge ego. They want you to stay grounded and to stay humble. Not necessarily humble in a negative way, just kind of like, hey, don't think that you're all that, okay? And so for some kids, that's just we had this conversation, my father and I, because I said, Dad, you used to always put me down. And he said, no, I didn't. I said, yeah, every time that I would bring home an A or bring home a painting that my teacher said that it was fabulous or whatever, you'd always find fault in it. And he said, well, that's because I was hoping that you would strive to be even better. And that's great. But some kids like me that were overly sensitive, I guess. I was overly sensitive. I took that as I'm not good enough.
Right.
And so I didn't strive to get better. I was just like, well, I'm as good as I'll get,
Oh.
and I guess someone will love me, like
Uh-huh.
eventually. And so my self-esteem was very low,
Mm-hmm.
and I had no idea how good or how talented I was or
Mm.
how intelligent I was
Mm-hmm.
because I was constantly being checked.
Mm.
And I only realized when I was 34 years old,
Mm.
and I got this amazing job in New York for Time Incorporated
Mm-hmm.
that gave me a ton of money,
Mm-hmm.
and they recognized my talent. And that's when I was like, hey, wait a minute.
Yeah. Uh-huh.
So I guess what I would say is to my younger self and to anyone listening that is maybe going through this is like, you know, you're awesome. You
Mm-hmm.
can be better, but
Mm-hmm.
you are awesome right now.
Right.
And believe in yourself. Don't allow. I don't know. Don't. It's already bad enough that the world can beat you up,
Mm-hmm.
right?
Mm-hmm.
Don't beat yourself up.
Mm. I love
So, yeah.
that. Oh my gosh, Gordana, thank you so much. I so enjoyed our conversation and I loved, oh
Likewise.
my gosh, all the stories and wow, your your life story is incredible and
Thank
I
you.
so appreciate, what you have brought to to the States in terms of your talents, in terms of your restaurant. And my
Mm,
goodness, your parents for having the courage to say, okay, you know what, we're out of here. It's like,
yeah.
that's wild. I think it's so empowering, and it's like, wow,
Yeah.
they did it and they were able to have a life outside of what probably would not have been a great life had they not left.
Yeah.
And I'm so glad that we walked into your wonderful restaurant because I never would
Yeah.
have gotten to know you and had you on my show to share your story. So I so
Thank you.
appreciate it. Oh my gosh. Oh,
Oh,
wow.
thank you.
Have a wonderful rest of your day. And I look forward to catching up with you again soon. All
Thank you.
right.
Thank you so much. It was an absolute pleasure speaking with you. Thank you.
Same here. Have a good one. Bye.
You too. Bye bye.
That's our show for today. I've posted more information about Gordana Angelic Davila on RevWoman.com. Thank you for listening, and I hope you'll tune in every other Thursday for another episode of Revolutionary Woman. You can listen to Revolutionary Woman on Apple, Spotify, YouTube, or wherever you get your podcast. Just a little note. I've launched a Patreon account to support the show. All proceeds will go to producing and editing the episodes to give my poor husband a break from being my personal IT and production department. He wrote this. The address is patreon.com/RevWoman.